this episode of My Cat's Tale, we'll meet Dougie Three Legs.
The vet took one look at him and said, I think we can save him. So she did. His shoulder blade is gone and everything. He just loves to get rubbed on that particular spot. It's actually like a bunny hop. That's how he walks, because he does his front leg and then his two little back legs, as well as little tail nubs.
And joining me now on My Cat's Tale, Crystal. Welcome to the show, Crystal.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
We're getting to that point now where I ask people and it's just like, oh, no, I have listened to the show, which
definitely,
I find really exciting and worried as well.
It's a brilliant podcast. I absolutely love it. I think it's such a nice idea.
Thank you. The check is in the post. That's going on the course.
Oh, fabulous.
Hey! We're here to talk about Dougie.
Oh, Dougie, our little baby.
He's in a really good place just now. He's got a happy life.
He does. He has a very happy life now, and he really deserves it because he had a tough start.
And of course, we would find him on Twitter at
Dougie Three Legs.
Which kind of gives away part of his story, doesn't it?
It does for sure, yeah. He had an accident when he was probably about 10 months old, because from what we know from the rescue place, he was born in a field, basically. He was a kind of feral, wild little boy, and he was living on some people's land. They had a farm or something, and what happened was they found him one day and he had an accident with some sort of farming machinery. So they found him in a very bad way indeed. And so they took him to the vet. They actually thought they were going to have him euthanized because he was very poorly, But the vet took one look at him and said, I think we can save him. So she did. He had to have 3 or 4 surgeries. One to remove his total arm, including the shoulder blade, and then also 2 to remove his tail. First of all, it was just half his tail that went, but now his whole tail is gone as well. So he's Dougie Three Legs, no tail. But so it was pretty tough for him. And then the vet arranged that a local rescue shelter would take him in after the surgery. So he was there for 6 or 7 months without anyone trying to take him home. Nobody even inquired about him until we did, which is so sad because he's the best little boy. I just don't understand. But he recovered there in the rescue place, and then by the time we got him, his fur had grown back, his scars are covered, so he's a very healthy, perfect little boy now. So
when you went to the rescue centre, were you specifically going for Dougie? Had you seen him on a website, or was it just we've decided we need a cat?
Well, we saw him on a website because previous to last year, say, we weren't able to have pets in our flat, but we ended up speaking with the landlord and he agreed to let us have a cat because we wanted one for so long, our own little baby, So when we got the okay, I started looking online, and normally there's 3 or 4 cat rescues in our city, Galway, but the one, I've never even heard of it, and I just stumbled upon it, and there was Dougie with his little 3 legs and his no tail, and he was looking so sad in his pictures, and we just fell in love with him, myself and my partner. We fell in love with him immediately. We knew we had to have him, and we could give him a great home and so much love. So we did that. We went, we called, and she was so delighted because she hadn't had any inquiries about him at all. It was so sad, and she was delighted when we came along and said we'd love to take him home and welcome him into our family. So that's how we got him.
Was there a lot of the story on the website, or was it just that picture of Dougie that was the spot?
There was a bit of the story, and there was 2 pictures of him. He still had his scar very visible. His fur was all gone in the pictures, so we could see exactly what happened to him in the surgery and stuff. But there wasn't a huge amount of his story on the website until we rang her, and then we were talking to the lady who runs the shelter, and she told us his story. They absolutely loved him there at the shelter as well. I still send them updates now because they love to see how happy he is.
When you first met him, what was it like? I mean, is it like going around the corner? Is it like is it a walk-in pen or anything?
It was funny actually, because we had actually agreed before we even met him physically in real life, we agreed to that we wanted him, you know, because they're, say, about an hour outside of town, the rescue. So we met halfway in the middle out in Connemara, and so the first time we saw him, he was in the back of a van in a big cage, and he was like, what is happening? He was so confused. So then we transferred him over to our car and took him home, and my partner Adam, his daddy, was sitting in the back seat with him, and Dougie purred the whole way home. He was rubbing off Adam's hand. He was such a sweetie. He like knew that we were his people already. He's a very clever boy.
A flat that's not had a cat before.
Mm-hmm.
Had you done any cat proofing?
Oh gosh, cat proofing. Well, we did try, you know, and as well, it's funny because we knew we were adopting a, we'd say, disabled cat, you know, because he has his issues or whatever. But so we were like, okay, we have to make sure there's steps everywhere so he can climb on things and make sure he's not jumping too much. But he can jump literally from the floor up to the top of his cat tree. Like, he's an amazing jumper. So we didn't actually need to make those accommodations for him, even though we have them anyway. But other than that, there's a few places he's not allowed to go. We put all the dangerous stuff in a cupboard that he's not allowed to go in, and that's he can have the run of the rest of the house then. That's it, basically.
So have the two of you lived with cats before?
Yeah. So we both grew up with a lot of cats, and then we would also mind our friends' cats sometimes in this flat because we couldn't have one of our own, but we were allowed to mind them for short periods of time, like 2 weeks or something. So, but this is the first time that a cat has been living here permanently.
So it's pretty obvious where the surname Three Legs comes in, or is it the surname is Legs and Three is the middle name? Doesn't matter. Semantics. What about the Dougie?
So he was actually named Dougie already when we found him, but we didn't want to change his name because he'd had it for so long. But when we asked the people in the shelter, they said that they named him for Dougie for two reasons. So first of all, their founder of the cat shelter's name was Dougie. So they wanted to name their little Dougie after him. And also they named him after Douglas on the Isle of Man because of Manx cats. You know how they have no tail, or they have a little bobtail on the little Manx cats. So they thought he's like a little Manx cat, so we'll call him Dougie after Douglas. And we decided to keep the name because figured he was used to it, and it also really suits him. He just is a little Dougie. He's a little Dougie buggy.
Obviously every cat is different, has their own little behaviours and tics and attitudes, but how different is Dougie with 3 legs compared to cats you've known with 4?
Well, we often say that if Dougie had 4 legs, he would be unstoppable. Like, we would not be able to handle him with 4 legs because he'd just be out of control. Like, his zoomies are so funny, zooming around the house, climbing up all on the counter and everything. He's like, there isn't actually that much difference between him and a 4-legged cat, other than the fact that he limps. Obviously, he's got a very obvious limp, and he has no tail, which affects his balance just a tiny bit. But he's actually extremely agile for such a, 3-legged boy.
So does that mean like he's walking and with a lot more power from the back, and he's just sort of guided? Is it like not even a walk? Is it like a push and a stop and a push and a stop? It's actually like a bunny hop. That's how he walks. It's like a bunny hop because he does his front leg and then his 2 little back legs. And he walks basically like a bunny, and he's got a little bunny tail as well, his little tail nub. So it's just very bunny-esque. What is he like doing in the house?
Oh, he loves to go into the big bed. That's his favourite thing now. And he'll just sprawl out on the big bed and get really, really comfy. He loves looking out the window. That's his main thing. We do take him out sometimes on the harness so he can actually get outside, but he loves looking out the window at all the kids playing outside and the buses coming and going. He loves all that. There's horses across in the field across the way as well, and he loves looking at them from far away. He does not like them up close.
Oh, there's so many Father Ted references in there. Horses far away. No, it's a cat. It's a horse. Oh, yeah. It's a cat. It's a horse. It's a very near cat. It's a far away horse. He's got the house. Is it the run of the house?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dougie is now the master of the house, and we just are tenants in his accommodation, basically. He's the king of the castle. There's no reason to kind of keep him from certain places, so we just let him go wherever he wants, really. He likes to be near us a lot of the time, but sometimes he'd like his own space as well, so he goes into the big bed when we're in here in the sitting room, and he just has his own little Dougie time.
It sounds like he's very confident in himself.
He really is. He's actually, we were so surprised at how confident and just sure of himself he is. Now, he still does things where he thinks he has his other arm and he tries to use it. But apart from a few times a day, he just, he's so confident in himself. He moves just normally. It's like it's almost natural to him, even though he was probably almost a year old when his accident happened.
And I suppose that any of the sort of physiotherapy would have been done by the rescue centre rather than yourselves?
Yeah, it was, because he was there for the full 6 months after his surgery. So they did all of his rehab, basically. Yeah, they did all of his rehab and his exercises and things. And now he's just perfect. He has a little trouble with his knees, but that's it. He's very good.
Do you have to do any ongoing care with him?
No, but we have to keep an eye on his knees, on his back legs, because they have more pressure on them, because he uses them more because he doesn't have the front leg. So he's got a little bit of wear and tear on his kneecaps. He's got patellar luxation, which I also have. So me and Dougie have that in common. And so we just have to keep an eye on it. But he's actually very good. He was on some anti-inflammatory medication for a little while, but he's off that now again. He's doing very well.
What is he like just day to day?
He is so loving. It's so funny. When I get up in the morning, he's straight away to tell me to give him his food, rubbing off my legs, rubbing off my face. This setup that I'm here at now is my partner's desk, and he always comes up here to just give Adam little head bumps and little kisses. He's just so affectionate. And then after he gets his rubs and we play with him for a little while, he goes off then and has a 17-hour long nap.
Only 17 hours. He's very active then, isn't he?
He's very, very active, yeah.
You say he goes out there on the harness. Does he have any other interaction with other cats?
The only time he's had interaction with other cats under our supervision was when he was, sometimes if we have to go away for work, or on holidays or something, we have a cat hotel that he goes to. It's just down the road. It's a really nice place, and they look after loads of different cats obviously there. So when he's there, he has neighbours. They're separated, but they can see each other through the grate in between their little areas. It's like a little apartment. I wouldn't call it a cage because it's huge that he'd just be in. It's like about the size of our bathroom. So that's their units that they have, and he can see the cats from the other side. He actually made one really good friend at the cattery, a little boy cat called Geraldine, and they bonded so much over the week they were there. They used to play string with each other through the wall of their enclosure. It's so cute. Him and Geraldine absolutely loved each other. So he's very good with other cats. I think he really likes other cats. He's a bit afraid of other animals, like puppies and dogs kind of freak him out. The horse really freaked him out. But he does love other cats. He's a very sociable little boy.
Have you ever thought about another cat with him?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think at some stage we'll definitely get a little brother or sister for Douggles, but for now I think just having him as the king of the castle for a while would be good. And maybe if we move into a bigger place, because we're in a very small apartment right now. But definitely, we'd definitely have more. I'd have 50 cats if I could.
So if I came round to visit Dougie just now, what toy would you hand me?
Oh, definitely the string on a stick. That is his
the old
jam.
Classic.
Oh, it's a classic, and he absolutely loves it. It's funny because he doesn't really care when I do it, but he loves when Adam does it. So he comes up and begs him and is pawing him to, Daddy, do the string, and then he gets the string to play with him, and it's very cute. But he specifically likes my partner to do that kind of play with him. It's so funny. So
yeah, there again, it's like he's going to your partner for the head bumps and the scritches in the morning. He's going for your partner with the string. How does he see you then?
He sees me as the food lady and the cuddle girl. He's the one who he'd sit on my lap and cuddle me and snoozes together. So I think he sees me as the food lady and the cuddle mummy. I think that's it.
And this seems like a really weird question, but what's it like cuddling with a three-legged cat?
Oh, it's actually so funny. It is really different because Dougie now in particular loves belly rubs. He really loves belly rubs. And he has obviously a big spot because his shoulder blade is gone and everything. So there's nothing there at all. And he just loves to get rubbed on that particular spot, on his nun-arm spot is what we call it. But it's so funny because when you pick him up, it's like because it's one of his front legs, so it's really noticeable when you pick him up. And of course, also for putting a harness on him, we had to do a lot of research for different harnesses, because with his front leg being missing, we just didn't want him to be able to slip out of one too easily. So we had to do a little bit more care with the harness to make sure it was properly on his chest and back, so his little leg, his one leg, wouldn't slip out, you know.
Do you have to make any other accommodations for him? I mean, I can see the cat tree in the background as we record this, and he's just like resting there. But and you got the harness there. So is there anything else that you need to work with?
There isn't really. We were told at the start to have a large carrier for him so he wouldn't hurt his tail stump. That was what we were advised. And also, he's quite a tall cat. He's a big enough boy. He's not really fat, but he's quite long and tall, a big lad. So I got a dog carrier for him, so he'd have plenty of room in it. But his tail stump is fine now. It doesn't hurt him anymore. So we made that accommodation for him. But everything else, it's just really normal cat stuff. We have a litter tray that's a little bit low, so he can comfortably climb into it. You know, he doesn't have to jump into that. But that's really it with accommodations. You know?
And I suppose that most cat toys and cat things and explorings are they're just going to work.
They do. They work really well. Even things you wouldn't think, you know, the things they hug with their front paws and stuff. Like, he can do everything with just with his one front paw. Even scratching on his cardboard scratchers. It's funny to see him scratch with just the one paw, because usually they use the other paw for sort of leverage, but he doesn't have that. So he's kind of just hunched over scratching with his one front little paw. It's so cute, but he loves his cardboard scratchers. Thankfully not scratching on the furniture.
And that just that must mean that your cat scratchers last twice as long.
They must do, actually, yeah, because he's only using them half as much.
Yeah, but there's probably more of the weight going through there. We'll never know.
Might be. He absolutely destroys them, though. We have like 5 of them there behind me, and they're in bits. But he loves them, so what can you do?
You can buy them in bulk.
That's it, yeah. That's what I'm going to do.
Why decide to put him online?
Well, I had been kind of following cat Twitter for a while because I just love cats, and I had seen some of the little cats on there, and I thought, oh, that's such a cute idea. And then when we got our little boy, I was like, well, I have to introduce him to his friends that he already has online, because I kind of knew all these cats, so I introduced him to all those little cats, and he made so many friends. It's just really nice that there's so many people out there that they really like him, you know, are a special little boy, and they can see how special he is as well. That is just so sweet. So I guess that's kind of why we decided to pop him online, so he could make his little friends.
And what about his voice? Because obviously he's not typing it. You can't type one-handed very quickly.
No, he can't. I guess I was probably inspired by other cats on Twitter. There's a sort of almost a language that they use, and certain spellings and pronunciations of words. I find it so funny. So I thought Dougie will have to definitely have a little cat voice when he's typing. So when he dictates to me, I just write down exactly what he says, but that's how he talks, yeah.
What sort of voice is it?
I'd love to know. I think he'd sound a bit like Dougal from Father Ted.
Now, see, I was thinking of something more Colin Farrell, the way you're talking about him being athletic and jumping around and inquisitive, and we go to Ardal O'Hanlon. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe he's a little mix between Colin Farrell and Ardal O'Hanlon.
Is that only because I mentioned the horse joke earlier?
No, I've actually said it before, that he's like Dougal. Because he's so silly sometimes. He is a very clever boy, but he has his moments. Dougal moments. It's kind of sad, actually, because it has to do with his missing arm, but like every day he does this. When he's trying to bury his business in the litter tray, he'll bury it first with his hand that he has. Then he'll go around and try to bury it with his nun hand. So he's just sort of shaking his body a little bit over the litter tray, and he's like, why is this not getting buried? And it's like, Dougie, you don't have a hand. I have to remind him every day. I'm like, Dougie, it's gone. No hand. Silly boy. Also, if he sees a fly outside the window, he thinks he doesn't understand glass, basically. He doesn't get windows. So he'll fling himself against the window trying to get the fly or spider or something that's outside. And it's like, Dougie, no, there's glass there. Silly boy.
So he doesn't get the glass. He doesn't get that he doesn't have a paw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see why that would do.
Yeah. He's a little goofy.
So how young is he now?
He's almost 2, I'd say. Let me think now. He'd want to be around 2, I think, because...
He'd want to be around 2. He's like, I'm 2. I want a birthday.
He'd want to be. We got him in December, and he had his accident in the previous July. So he's probably over 2 years old now, but we have his birthday on his gotcha day, which is the 4th of December. So I guess we'll tell him he's 2 then, but I'd say he's probably 2 by now.
So
he's only a young boy, like.
Yeah, so he's still quite kittenish then.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Full of beans, that's what we call him. Full of beans, little kitten.
What do you think it'll be like when he gets a little bit older? Do you think that he's still got a little bit of maturing to do?
Oh, I think so, yeah. He's still definitely very kittenish because, he loves playing so much. He gets some incredible zoomies that last for like an hour, and he's properly zooming around. So I think he definitely has a little bit of maturing to do. I still think he's quite a young boy, and even though I don't know if he'll lose that playfulness, but he probably just won't be as crazy bananas when he's running around, I'd say, when he matures a bit.
In terms of him getting older, he's obviously going to have different medical issues coming up. Has there been any sort of, have you done any investigating, or just thinking, what do we have to keep an eye out for? Well,
the main thing our vets told us is to look out for his legs. It's funny, they ask if he's limping, but he always limps. He walks with a limp because of course he only has 3 legs. But just to make sure that his legs are okay, his knees are okay, because they're under a lot more pressure now because the rest of his body, has to compensate. And also we were told to keep a very close eye on his weight, because if he gets overweight, it would put extra pressure on his already kind of overly pressured joints. So that's something we really have to look out for as well. But he's been very good so far, though. Managing his weight is no problem, and his needs seem fine. So hopefully he'll be like this and very healthy and happy for a long time.
What is it like now, the reality of living with him, compared to what you expected from that first picture on the website?
Oh, his little picture was so sad. It's amazing. It's even better than we thought it would be. Like, me and my partner, we've always really loved animals. We always loved animals, always loved cats. But our special little boy, our little guy in our family, like, it's better than we ever thought it would be. He's really fulfilled us and made our life basically complete. It's the best thing ever. He's so sweet. He's so playful. I couldn't imagine life without him now, definitely.
What about the landlord? Does the landlord come round to see how much love that they've allowed into the house?
Well, he actually hasn't been here since we got permission to get Dougie. But he hasn't destroyed anything, though. There's no damage or anything. It's just that the house is full of cat stuff now, like cat trees and cat scratchers and cat toys and cat beds, and so that'd be the only difference that he'd see. Hopefully, anyway.
What do you think's next for him?
Oh, our little man. I just think he's going to have the happiest little life ever. We're going to provide everything for him to make him so happy. We're going to try and take him outside more to make him more confident. And then eventually, when we get a new place, probably a house, we'd like to get him a little sibling to play with, because I think he would really like that. He's such a loving boy and he really likes other cats, so I think that would be nice.
Dougie 3 legs going at Dad 3 legs.
Oh, Daddy 3 legs.
Or Brother 3 legs.
Or brother, either way.
Because Daddy 3 legs just sounds like a Scottish scary spider. So no. Brother 3 legs. No, Brother 3 legs doesn't sound right. I suppose it does.
He sounds like a monk.
Dougal 3 legs. Nope. Whatever he ends up with, he's going to no doubt share the love that you two have given him with whoever joins him in the family.
Oh, definitely, yeah. He's such a loving little boy. I just can't see him not giving all that love to another little baby that needs it, like he did.
Yeah, that's it. The circle of cat ownership. To love, to love, to love, to love, to go meow, to love, to love, to love, to love, to go feed me, to love to... We concentrate on the love. We love the love, that's where we are. And Crystal, it has been so lovely to hear you tell us Dougie's story.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and Dougie on. We're delighted.
And people who want to see more pictures, the usuals, Twitters, Instagrams.
Yeah, he's on Twitter at Dougie 3 legs. And that's where all his pictures go.
And once again, Crystal, thank you.
Thanks so much, Ewan. Have a great day.
You've been listening to My Cat's Tale, a Spence Media production. Listen to more tales of our perfect pets at mycatstalepod.com and support us on Patreon.